Ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited tonight to be able to have the opportunity to talk to the fantastic Anthony Morales. Anthony, how we doing, brother?
We're doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. So today is all about celebrating you, Anthony, and your journey as a pre-PT who, yes, you've worked with us here at Physical Therapy Application Coach, but you've been working for a long time to get to the point leading up until when we started providing you with some assistance with essays and interview prep and things like that. So I wanted to first and foremost, just whatever you feel comfortable sharing, give us a little bit of an introduction about you, where you're from, and what kind of led you to deciding to pursue physical therapy as a career. And then we'll kind of let the interview go from there. But excited to be able to hear your story.
Yes, sir. So I'm from Galveston, Texas, down south, down in the area. Whole life I've been really involved in math and science has been something that piqued my interest. I was in high school, I was kind of going for engineering. Got out of high school, I kind of went the kinesiology route, typical for physical therapy majors. I knew I wanted to be in the health field, and yeah, it's been a long journey, I would say. Just kind of, I mean, I played sports in high school, so I was pretty active, hurt myself, beat myself up a little bit playing sports. So I had to do physical therapy. I just built a relationship, and I feel like a lot of other pre-physical therapy students to say the same thing. You build a relationship with some of your physical therapists or people that gave you healthcare, and you kind of just see yourself being in those shoes one day. You kind of manifest something like, oh, I want to be a healthcare provider one day. And that's how it kind of just led me that way. Yeah.
Cool, cool. And with that, you've got a pretty decorated background. You're someone who's very competent, very accomplished. You've got all kinds of different honors and feathers in your cap, things like that. You've worked real hard for. Um, what is it that made you decide of all the different healthcare professions that like PT was the thing for you? That was your jam.
Honestly, it was just because I love rehab. I think it's really fascinating to watch the progress. Personally, I always thought about this between MD and PT. MD, I'm not really strong on medicine. Like I'm not a big take a medicine person. Yes, it helps you a lot. Yes, it solves a lot of problems, but I'm just not a big fan of it personally. That's not the way I wanted to pursue my career and my studies. So I always looked at like a rehab, let's keep the body moving, let's see what we could do from there. That's what really led me to pursuing PT over any other healthcare profession. Something that's kind of similar is chiro, and it stuck out to me, but I didn't want to be limited within the joints and just the spinal region. A lot of chiropractors are limited within that area of practice. With physical therapy, I mean, you can even go into chiro a little bit and go and get some fellowships and learn how to adjust as well. So it's kind of just one of those fields that you're able to uh, get an introduction, get your degree, and then from there you can branch off into many other subspecialties, I guess you can call it, that you want to go into. So I think really just having the amount of diversity in physical therapy is kind of what led me to wanting to go into the field.
Cool. So it sounds like it's a combination of the right amount of conservative intervention that focuses on using what naturally occurs in the body to help people heal. And then on top of that, just the flexibility that you have in the career and that you can adapt and change and you don't have to feel like you're stuck or pigeonholed in one
Yes,
area in
sir.
particular. Cool.
Yes, sir.
Cool, man. Well, that's fantastic. So you've got your mindset on physical therapy and you decide you're going to go ahead and pursue this degree. Tell me about these few months leading up to when you actually started applying. How did that go and what was that experience like for you?
So like before I even applied or like just leading up
Yeah,
to
when you
after?
were like starting to actually get ready to put your information into
Oh,
PTCast.
okay. Well, I'll say it probably was I mean, honestly, I would say it's probably for me at least, probably the past 4 years that kind of led up to this day, or at least applying because I knew I wanted to apply. I came in freshman year of college and I'm a typical traditional student, 4 year student. So I mean, it's just been the biggest thing for me is like kind of just making the best resume I could have, just kind of building up to the day of, okay, I know I'm gonna apply during the summer. I know it opens up July, right? 2024, I can't believe it's already, the next year, but it's crazy time flies by. But I done multiple observation with multiple doctors and Built up my resume in multiple leadership positions, typically as free physical therapy student would do. But leading up to the couple months, honestly, it was a big stress. Like there was days where I felt like so stressed out. I'm like, man, maybe I should wait a cycle, wait a cycle. I'm glad I didn't because I got in and it was a good process. But honestly, I think the biggest thing for me was like I just didn't know where to start. I was just so procrastinated. I looked at it. I mean, I'm a student. Well, I'm a person. Nobody in my family been to college, so me going to undergrad was kind of like, what am I doing? Where do I start? And then even at my university, yes, you have advisors, but a lot of advisors, I would say, they're not the best in their guiding somewhere to go because they don't know exactly how the process works, right? They know, oh, you apply there, but what's the actual bread and butter of it? Nobody really knows, and I feel like leading up to it, I was just so lost and I came across your page and I was like, hey, seems like it can really help me out. So
For
it was
sure.
really stressful leading up to it. Didn't know where to start, just kind of all over the place. I had all the pieces. It was just a big puzzle I couldn't put together.
Yeah, and I like how you talked about that you've been doing all of the right things, right? And it's a matter of getting it to look right and to fit right and to be able to share your story of all these things that you've been involved in the past several years before you actually get into PTCAS. And that's actually one of the hardest parts for most applicants is like, okay, I've done all the pre-PT things, and now how do I tell my story and
Hmm.
share how that's made me into who I am and how I'm going to be successful as a future physical therapist because of that. And
Hmm.
I think that's ultimately what we sat down and helped you do was to say,
Absolutely.
I mean, you got this immaculate resume, all these amazing things that you've been doing, like you mentioned, like first person in your family to go to college and now grad school, like what a trailblazer you are and how cool that is for you and your family, how exciting that is.
Yeah, quite the
Um,
quite the experience for sure.
yeah, but it's scary. It's scary to be like, I'm not really sure what I'm getting myself into here, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I also liked how you mentioned that, I love pre-health advisors. There's some that, like you're saying, some are better than others, right?
Yeah,
Some of them
absolutely.
really are cut from the right cloth and they want to help you and they've been through the process. But a lot of them are people who've never applied or they've never even practiced in the field that you want to get into. And so they're doing the best they can, but it really does make a difference to have somebody in your corner that's been through the process, that is up to date with it, that's involved in your profession.
Hmm. And even I reached out to some of my mentors personally, multiple doctors of physical therapy. But even from the process, I mean, the field changed in 2013. That's when it became a doctorate program. It was around that time frame. But some of the doctors were even or physical therapists, I should say. But prior to that date, some of those or the physical therapists that are mentored under, kind of taught me a lot. And asking them about the process, they're kind of like it's been years since I've been in those shoes. It was different when I applied. And I was like, well, appreciate it. But they told me what I need to do. So I wasn't new to observation hours. Like that wasn't something curveball. The whole PT cast was a curveball. Opening it up, it's like you have so many tech check boxes you got to do. You got to enter all this information in. And it's like it was just overwhelming, honestly, just looking at it from a I guess a blind view. You kind of looking at something, you're just kind of like, where do I even start? What do I even click? What do I even do? I made an account. Okay, cool. But now what's next, right?
Now, where
So
do we go? Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. So, how do you feel like once you found us and you started utilizing our services, how do you feel like that made a difference in your application?
Oh, I think it made a huge difference. I'm not saying that, I mean, there's nothing that changed the fact of like who I was before I applied. It's more so like we talked about putting everything together. You, applying to physical therapy school is not something you do within 6 months or a year, in my opinion. Like prior to doing it, it takes your whole college career, maybe even sometimes your whole life. So it kind of made me dig up, once we started talking and we worked through the brainstorming of an essay and all these good stories that we came up with, is because I couldn't think of that by myself. I do all this stuff in the process and I kind of just go, oh yeah, I did, I was there, shadowing and I was with that doc. Oh, that was a good story. And I'm over here thinking it's a regular story because I see it. I've been in clinics like so many hours, but for me, it's like a regular story. But when I write it down and, kind of get through the process, it's like, whoa, that's a good story. And it kind of helped me bring out a side of me that I didn't even think I'd had in me, right? I'm a terrible writer. I would say I'm not really good at writing, at least not even like academic writing. I'm good at like, articles and stuff like that. But like a narrative story, I kind of skip over a lot of big bullet points. I'm kind of cut paste to the point. This happened, result. And having you on my sideline pretty much just helped me kind of elaborate the stories more, get through the process, and just show who I am better than I am able to show myself, right? Um, yeah, I think that's yeah,
Yeah, no, and I think you're spot on with that. Again, and that's the majority of what we do. Whether you're somebody who, like yourself, has like an immaculate resume and all these great things that you've been involved in, you've done everything right, or you're somebody who maybe you don't feel like that's your situation and you're just doing the best you can to get through life, right?
absolutely
Either way, what you're looking at is you're asking yourself, how can we share your story and your life experiences and show people that those life experiences that you have are special, they are unique, they are something that's helped you to grow and progress and become someone who has the capabilities to be a great doctor of physical therapy. Um, and that's my favorite part of working with you guys. There's kind of two parts to it. It's awesome to see awesome, capable, excited people coming into the profession. And it makes me excited to be like, man, we've got just all this great young energy coming in, right?
for
And then on
sure.
top of that, you've also got just to see the wide variety of backgrounds and life experiences that people have and the adversity that they've overcome and who they've become as a person. It's inspiring. And it's like I get to watch a bunch of little action movies throughout all application season because we get to make people kind of look like superheroes in their essays, right? Um,
Hmm.
and it's as we do that, you kind of realize, like, you know what? I am actually pretty awesome. I deserve to do this. I deserve to get into this PT program, right? So let's fast forward. You get your application done. You're stoked with your essay. It's solid. We press submit, and then the waiting game begins. Tell me about that process.
Uh, Honestly, I remember the days like it was yesterday. I remember I was late on the application cycle, if I'm being honest. I was not as early as July, and that's where, as I was talking earlier, procrastination is real. Everybody's a procrastinator, whether they like to admit it or not. If you don't admit it, you're probably sugarcoating a little bit in my eyes. But so applications open July 15th, somewhere around that range. Uh, I'll probably start my application late September, man, probably like early September, and I get everything submitted in October. That's when my dates were, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the due dates are in September, mid-September, October 1st, and in November, and then some schools are open throughout the rest of the time frame until the program starts. But those are pretty much the heavy hitter due dates, pretty much. And I got mine in right before and then once I submitted everything, it was a waiting game. I waited about a week, and then I had to do like just pay a fee for supplemental transcripts and the whole 9 yards with that. But I waited a week, got an email back pretty much immediately, and they were like, "Hey, we want you to go for an interview in a month from now." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is cool." That was the first step. And I didn't expect to hear back that quick. Nor did I expect to hear back at all. It's kind of discouraging looking online. You see, I mean, you can only assume how many people apply. I would say probably upwards thousands, maybe a couple thousand apply to each program because you don't just apply to one program, you apply to multiple programs. And seeing only like 250 get selected for interviews, 200, depending on the program, but not it's about 15 to 20% of people get selected for an interview, and even from there it goes down further. But just waiting for that invitation for the interview was kind of like the first step. Okay, now the door's open. Now let me show you, like, let me show what I got, pretty much from there. But it was just a little bit of waiting process, but it was nothing that I was too discouraged about. It was kind of just I'm big into faith, and I was like, let it be in God's hands at that point. And that's how I kind of see it. I did the best I could. I was extremely impressed with my essay. After it was finished and everything, I was like, that's a solid essay. My application looks good. And it's just counting down the days until I hear back and heard back. And now counting down the days from the interview, right?
For sure, for sure. And Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I got the timeline right on this. So you just applied to UTMB, right?
I applied to UTMB and Texas Tech. I only applied to two
Texas Tech.
programs.
That's right. That's right. And so you heard back from UTMB first, correct?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay, so you get the, hometown hero. We're going back. We're going to Galveston, right? Tell me about you let us know that you got the interview invite and then we started working on interview prep. How do you feel like that made a difference in your application for you?
Honestly, I think that kind of make and break it. And honestly, the interview was kind of smooth selling. It kind of really prepared me for the hard hitter questions that they're going to ask in some way, some shape. And then it kind of gave me some questions that were like, this is going to be a curveball, but I was kind of prepared for it. Just having that prep. I mean, the prep is so. I walked through it, but I didn't memorize anything that I wrote down. It was kind of like these are the bullet points that I want to touch on. And I know it kind of taught me in an interview. I mean, any interview, whether it's job, grad school, leadership position, whatever interview type is, they're looking for words or stories that you can really tell. They're looking for, okay, how can you make this word show you who you are, or this story show you who you are? They want to hear some certain things that they want to hear and certain things they don't want to hear. There's big obvious difference there. But yeah, I think the interview prep, just preparing for the interviews. I mean, I started preparing in like early November, probably a couple weeks before my interviews, and yeah, just running through the questions, practicing it, just practicing it out loud, saying what I got to say, knowing the stories well, knowing the stories in and throughout, trying the best to um, expose or like lighten up the qualities within the stories that I can present.
For sure. Yeah, and I think it's probably pretty similar to your essays, right? Like you've done all this work, you have all this your resume, if you will, that you've got to be able to share with them. And now it's a
Mhm.
matter of how do we put that into words and make it like a compelling story of why I deserve to be at your program. And that's the main thing, whether it's with essay coaching or interview coaching. A lot of times, like, yes, you've done the work to help you get ready for it. And our job is just to help you polish it so that way you really stand out. You really are going to shine when compared to the crowd. Because most people, I'm sure everybody else who was invited to go to UTMB's interview, top-notch people, right? Like UTMB doesn't invite scrubs, right? So as far as that's concerned, like you all are looking across from each other, and the difference between you and someone else who maybe didn't get in is you were able to sell yourself and to share your story in a more compelling way that was like, we got to get Anthony here. We got to get him here, right?
Yes, sir. And I know it was I mean, it was quite the day. It's a long interview, and any school you interview at, you're gonna probably gonna be there for about 5, 6 hours. The interview itself is not that long, but the whole day is. You go there, you get a tour, you get to meet some people, you get to meet professors, students, volunteers, get to learn about the campus, the surrounding town around the campus, however they want to organize it, but you learn a lot in that day. And the way they do it at UTMB, and they probably do this at other programs as well, but they break it up. At this point you're doing this, this point you're doing this, and you don't know when you're gonna have your interview. Honestly, it just you're walking out of one room and they're like, "All right, guys, interview time," and you just gotta lock in from there. And that's where like, okay, this is where I'm getting really, I don't want to say judged, but I'm getting interviewed. I'm actually getting interviewed now. It's not I'm not the student no more. Now I'm the person trying to get the job now, right?
Right.
Um, so yeah, I remember like being in the seats. I think there probably was like, I don't know, probably I'll guesstimate 40, 50 people the day I went, or there was a good amount of people. And like you said, I think UTMB is a phenomenal school. They do a lot of research. They make sure every healthcare professional that comes out of the UTMB branch is well equipped for their career. And I can say everybody in that room was like, whoa, like I felt out of place if I'm being completely honest. I was just there like trying to like fake a smile if I'm being honest. I'm over here sweating bullets and I'm like, how can I thought to myself when I first sat down, when we're doing like introductions and just saying, hey, how everything going? I look at everybody in the room, I'm like, man, how can I show I'm better than everybody else? But then I got disgusted with that thought. I was like, why am I trying to show how I'm better than anybody else in this room? That's not what I'm here for. This is not what they want to see either. What they want to see is how can I show I'm the best version of myself to make sure that I can go into this program and be equipped for anything that comes at me within the 3 years I'm there, or however long you're there for. UTMB is 3 years, but other programs are accelerated and other ways around that. But essentially, that's what they're looking for. And they even said that in the meet and greet. They're like, hey, everybody in this room is top-notch people. You're here for a reason and we want you here, but you just gotta show us why you belong here, honestly, and show us how you're the best version of yourself and you're gonna become a better version at our school compared to any other school, right? But yeah, I remember it was an interesting interview process. I mean, it was just very stressful. Like I felt like I didn't belong. I was like, man, what am I doing here? Even though I had the qualities, I have good grades, I had good letter recommendations, I had good mentors, I got good shadowing experiences, I got good leadership positions. I have all that stuff built up on me, but even then, I still felt out of place. I felt like I was like, whoa, this is all new to me.
For sure, man. For sure. Well, and I think it's a testament that you locked in, like you said, in that way, where it's not about stiff arming other people,
Yeah,
right? Because you're going to be working with these people throughout your entire cohort. So it's not like
exactly.
you're going to be like, oh, I don't like you, I'm not going to work with you, and I'm better than you. But
Hmm.
how can you convey how you try to do the best you can to make yourself the best version of who you are and to be the best future physical therapist you can be? So I think that's spot on. And for anybody who's prepping for an interview, you don't have to worry about saying you're better than someone else because in all actuality, you may not be, and it's not a fair comparison, right?
Absolutely.
So
And
now
even
it's
when
more of a matter of are you able to sell yourself and what makes you special and how are you ready to step up and be able to I really like that. Be an even better version of yourself going into that program.
Mhm.
So
And
solid
when
for
I
sure.
was sitting down, like before anything, I was like, wait a second. I don't even know these people's grades in front of me or to the side. I don't know their grades. I don't know what got them here. So that's where I'm like I really just thought about it. I'm like, I'm not trying to show I'm better than anybody because nobody's better than anybody in any aspect of life. You're just a better version of yourself. That's the way I view it. And yeah, I think just having that mindset going into the interview kind of calmed me down and made me more relaxed to speak about myself rather than kind of showboating or kind of just talking it up, talking myself up in a way to where it's not a good way. They want that, but they also don't want it at the same time.
For sure, for sure. Well, that's great advice for anybody, and I think so. We kind of spoiled the climax of this story, but tell us what happened after the interview. What happened?
So interview happens and I'm walking back. I mean, I go home. I mean, I get in my car, interview happens, we go about the day. We had one-on-one interview, we had the group interview, it all went good. I think I felt pretty confident walking out. I can most definitely say they like my answers, and I can tell by their facial expressions, and I was able to read their body language. Okay, they like this, and I'm like, okay, I felt confident, and I felt like the prep just made me walk in there and just felt like a slice of cake, and it went by like that. It was like real quick, and then but yeah, just walking out, got in my car and drove home. That was on a interview was on a Friday. Woke up Monday with an email in my inbox saying I got in, and I was like, whoa. And
Let's
honestly, it was
go.
just kind of like I froze for a second. I was trying not to cry. I was like, okay, hold on. I worked on this for 4 years, and this was kind of like the make or break moment. Like, if I was to get in, nice. But if I wasn't, then like, what's next? And I had an interview with Texas Tech, and their program is amazing. But at that point, UTMB was my number one choice. It's closer to me, closer to, felt like I belonged there. It felt home to me. And just getting that email from them and at that point I was like UTMB, I'm in. And it just seems like shoulders are dropped. You're able to relax a little bit. Gray hairs are not coming in no more. During the whole process, I probably had like I remember I saw about 6 gray hairs and I was like, holy smokes, this is not good. I'm only 20, I'm about to be 22, but I was like, man, I'm too young to have a couple of gray hairs
Oh
already. So
God.
it was a really big stress reliever, just like having that, getting that email, seeing it. Okay, now it's just relax. Gas pedals off. You're cruising down the road now. cruising to graduation, cruising till the first day of the program starts. But yeah, that was just how I felt after the interview, or after the interview.
That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations, and I think whether it was UTMB or Texas Tech, either one would have been had a had you be a benefit to their program, but UTMB's got a killer, so I'm really excited for them that they have a Anthony coming on down to work with them, and to be a doctor of physical therapy. It was kind of funny when we talked. Like that was my first interview when I interviewed like eons ago for PT school. That feels like forever ago, but it was so fun to go back and relive that and be like, I love Galveston, love the town, all that stuff, and it's just exciting. It's an exciting time of life to go and to
Mhm.
be able to be like, all right, time to move on to the next phase. Time for the next phase.
Yeah, it was
So with all that being said, and thank you again for talking about how the prep got you ready so you could just go and perform. What advice do you have for pre-PTs that are coming up behind you? That are maybe, they're going to either apply this upcoming cycle or future cycles, and someone's listening and they're like, man, my story sounds like Anthony's. What advice do you have for them?
honestly, I think if my story don't sound like yours or if you're on a different path, the best advice I can give anybody is make a plan. Make a plan and execute that plan. Whether you're your first year of college, second year of college, third year of college, or you're about to apply next month and you have nothing on your resume, right? Make a plan. That's the best way you could do. I made my plan freshman year. I knew what I was going to do. I got involved in the healthcare systems my sophomore year of college. So by the time I applied, I already had 2 years of experience under my belt and multiple specialties. Not saying that that can make you get in or make you not get in. Really, it's just figure out who you are and make a way to highlight that. But um, advice is just, start early. Never turn up opportunity. There's multiple times where I got calls or I'm at work. I work at a rehab clinic and there's chiropractors there and they does a lot of medicine, MDs and injections and all this stuff going on there. And there's days where I'm like, man, I'm ready to go home. And then I get a call from the doctor saying, hey, Anthony, can you do this for me? And I look back at those experiences now, and that's really what got me in. It really introduced me to new doctors and new doctors and new doctors and new doctors. Never turn up on opportunity because you never know that where that opportunity will lead you, right? Um, as a traditional student going to college, you get presented probably thousands of opportunities within a month, right? You have this, that, or the other to go to. You this, that, or the other. Every day there's something going on. Never turn up on the opportunity. When I first started working in the clinic I'm at, it was like a stretch to get in there. It was a friend of a friend that knew a friend, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it out. And I tried it out, and the next thing you know, I've been there for years now. And all that the doctor that I've been under, he mentored me so much, and he introduced me to so many specialties, and he was a big help as well getting in. So honestly, just don't pass up any opportunities. And if you need help, seek for help and just figure out a plan to make you the best person you are. Find out something within yourself to highlight. For me, it was my grades. My grades were all that. So I highlighted that about myself, right? And then from there, I was like, well, I know I still need experiences and I need this and that and the other. Personally, I didn't do good on the GRE. And then once I got that score in, I was like, that's really what made me like, whoa, do I even want to apply right now because my GRE school's not good? And I took it late September. But no, I took it like early September. I took it like September, yeah, like first week of September. And I didn't have time to retake it. It was like a one and done type deal. I'm terrible at standardized tests. Um, and for me, it was kind of like I didn't want that test to like make me push off a whole year, right? I
Sure.
was like, okay, that's where when we started talking, we started consultating and talking, getting everything set together. You really showed me that I had so many other good qualities in myself, grades, observation hours, jobs experiences, leadership positions that kind of, I don't want to say swept that under the rug like the GRE score, but it kind of made that go down and everything else goes up. Highlight what was in me, right? So, yeah, just get involved and
When you get
pretty
to
much.
that point in the application, you can't operate from a position of weakness, right?
Mhm,
You have so many feathers in your cap hanging on that, and it worked out, right? Like imagine if you wouldn't have applied this year. You're
mhm.
like you're pushing everything off. All you're missing out on the opportunities, right? So Anthony, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. We've really enjoyed getting to know you, getting to watch your story and your progression. I love all the feedback that you gave to the pre-PTs and just echo everything that you've said. Like it just spot on, right? And some from somebody who just went through it, you got straight from the horse's mouth of things to do and to not do, right?
Yes,
Um,
sir.
but thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time, and best of luck down in Galveston, man. Have a blast down there and enjoy. And we're looking forward to seeing you as Dr. Morales.
Absolutely. Thank you.